Hi, I'm Mark. This is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today I'm going to tell you how to do multi-room audio on a budget. Now, if you're anything like me, whereby you love music and you love tech, then the idea of a multi-room audio setup is really appealing to you. The problem is that if you look at things like the Sonos systems and the Bose systems, they both start at around 170 quid, and that's just for one speaker. Bose do an adapter which costs around 130 quid, but still, when you're talking about 4 or 5 rooms of your house, that's still a really expensive way to get something set up. Likewise, you've probably already got speakers in different rooms of your house that you're already really happy with the sound of. And so in this video, I want to talk about 3 different ways you could set up a multi-room audio system throughout your house on a budget. Now, there are of course ways to do this with wires, but I'm not going to talk about them at all because wiring stuff around your house is a bit of a faff, and unless you do it really well, you end up with wires dangling everywhere and it just makes the place look untidy. Wireless is definitely the way to go with stuff like this. So without further ado, let's start with option 1 for getting a multi-room audio setup, the Bluetooth receiver. One of the cheapest ways to achieve a multi-room audio system in your house is with Bluetooth receivers. These little devices can be attached to the headphone jack of your stereo and actually cost around 7 quid for the cheapest and probably nastiest one, or about 20 quid if you go up market a little bit more and get a branded one. These devices are really simple to install, they're often really small and light and just require a simple USB power. On top of that, if you're like me, you've probably got a couple of speakers with Bluetooth already built in, and so all this does is expands your current system to work with the rest of your system at home. The advantage of this system is it'll basically work with anything that supports Bluetooth. So it'll work with your phone, it'll work with your laptop, your iPad, but on top of that it will also work with older things like iPod Nanos and iPod Touches if they've got Bluetooth built in. There are, however, some disadvantages to this system. One being that Bluetooth means you're generally only connected to one device at a time. This means you can't achieve multi-room audio and have your audio playing in more than one room at once. The second disadvantage is that you've got to connect your device individually to each of your Bluetooth receivers each time you want to play something through them. This might involve kicking something else off your network if it's already previously connected, and is sometimes a bit of a faff. On top of that, if you've bought lots of little receivers that are all the same and you can't name them individually, then trying to work out which room is which might be a little bit of a challenge. Essentially, if you're trying to achieve multi-room audio on a budget, then the Bluetooth receiver is the easiest way of doing it, but it doesn't really achieve multi-room audio, it just achieves multi-room Bluetooth receivers, which you can play one room at a time. So it's cheap, but it's a bit nasty, and it's not the most effective way of doing this at all. The advantage of it, however, is that it does work with most devices. Let's talk about option 2. Option 2 is a little device by a company called NEET called the AIRSTREAM. Now, NEET do a few other things like Bluetooth receivers and all that kind of stuff, but the AIRSTREAM is a wireless device that connects to a wireless network. You can find a full review of the AIRSTREAM on this channel as well if you go into my other videos. The NEET AIRSTREAM is a Wi-Fi audio device without Bluetooth. These little devices cost around £20, although if you shop around you can find them for about 15 quid. They're USB powered, but they don't actually come with a power adapter, so you have to find somewhere to plug it in. The advantage of these is much like the Bluetooth receiver, they're fairly small and light, and so they're not going to look intrusive wherever you put them. The NEET AIRSTREAM is also really easy to set up. You simply connect to it as a Wi-Fi network and then set up the details for your home wireless network via a setup page in a web browser. The manual that comes with it is really comprehensive and easy to follow. In terms of audio output, there's analog and digital outputs on these devices. These little AirStream devices are compatible with DLNA and AirPlay Wi-Fi streaming. This means as long as you've got an Apple or an Android phone, then you should be fine for getting music to play through it. It also means that with the right app you can stream your audio to multiple rooms at the same time. If you're an Apple Mac user, then you can actually do this already without any additional software. This basically makes the AirStream a really good budget option. The only disadvantage is that it doesn't have Bluetooth. When you're setting up the device, you can also name each one, and so you can easily distinguish between which rooms you've got set up. The Bluetooth I've already mentioned, however, is one of the disadvantages of this system. It means if you've got a device that doesn't support DLNA or AirPlay, then you're a bit stuffed. For example, if you've got one of the old iPod Nanos that has got built-in Bluetooth, there's no way you can actually get your audio from that to the device. But I suspect for most people these days, that's simply not going to be an issue. The other disadvantage is that if you want to achieve multi-room audio, you're going to need a third-party app. If we talk about AirPlay for a second, Apple currently supports AirPlay on most of its devices. In fact, probably pretty much every Apple device supports AirPlay other than some of the iPod shuffles and things like that. However, multi-room audio from the Apple AirPlay system doesn't quite work. If you've got a Mac, that's fine because you can stream to more than one AirPlay device at a time using iTunes. However, if you've got an iPad or an iPhone, then you can only send it to one AirPlay device at a time. To achieve multi-room audio with this, you're going to need a third-party app such as the Whale app. If you're using Android or a Windows phone, then likewise you're going to need to find an app that supports DLNA multi-room audio streaming. The good news is that the manual that comes with the NEET AIRSTREAM gives you some tips on which apps can help you achieve this. So let's talk about the third option for achieving multi-room audio. Option 3 is a system made by a company called Pure. And actually this system is no longer listed on their website under current products, it is listed under archive, although it's only just really made that transition in the last year or so. However, don't let this put you off, because actually these products are still widely available to buy. If you go onto Amazon you can still pick them up, and if you want a second-hand one, if you look around on eBay you can easily find these. I've also done a full review of the Pure JONGO system on this channel, especially the little A2 adapter. The Pure JONGO system is a multi-room audio system that gives you lots of different options. They make a variety of speakers, varying in size and power and quality, and they also make a little device called the A2, which is an adapter. Pure JONGO is actually the system I use at home to achieve multi-room audio, and I think it's probably the better of the three options I'm talking about today. In particular, when we're talking about achieving multi-room audio on a budget, especially when you've already got speakers that you really like, then the Pure JONGO A2 adapter is probably the best way to go. These little adapters, much like the AIRSTREAM, cost around 20 quid. They're meant to be about 70 quid RRP, but because they're not quite as widely stocked anymore, you can pick them up really cheap. Amazon's default price at the time of making this video is $19.99. The big advantage of the Pure JONGO system is that it has both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi audio streaming solution. This means if you've got an older product like an iPod, you can connect via Bluetooth, or if you've got a phone with smart apps, you can either connect via Bluetooth or just use the Pure JONGO app to stream wirelessly. Pure have also got a system built in called Cask ID. This allows you to send your Bluetooth signal to more than one speaker, even though your Bluetooth system is probably only paired with one device. You can switch on which speakers have the audio mirrored from the app itself on a smartphone, but then you can just connect your iPod to one of those devices and that audio would appear throughout your house in the ones you've chosen to set up with Cask ID. On top of that, the Pure Connect also gives you the option to stream stuff via Wi-Fi. All you need for this is the Pure Connect app on Android or iOS, and from there you can view all of your speakers and also decide which ones you want music to play on. It also allows you to control the individual volume of these speakers, and you can name these speakers so you know which room is which that you're trying to send your music to. This app lets you access the music on your device, but also lets you access music from things like NAS storage and from Plex servers and that kind of thing. There is, however, a disadvantage to this system. The Pure Connect app, especially on Apple devices at the moment, is really buggy. When you first open it, you get a warning saying that it's not going to work with future versions of iOS. Sometimes you have to wait for a bit of a gap between one song ending and the next song starting, and other times to get it to work you need to turn the app off and open it up again. Now actually, in terms of a long-term solution for audio in your home, this is a little bit concerning, because you want to be able to keep updating your devices, but know that your audio system is still going to work. So I tweeted Pure about this, and they've assured me that come the summer there's going to be a new updated version of the app. However, when this system is no longer manufactured by Pure, and certainly not listed as a current product on their website, I wonder how long-term this support is going to be. Finally, other ways you can achieve a multi-room audio system. In this video I've talked about 3 ways you can do it so far. I've talked about Bluetooth receivers, which are incredibly cheap but actually not particularly effective. I've talked about the AirStream device, which is great unless you want Bluetooth functionality. And I've talked about the Pure JONGO system, which covers Bluetooth and Wi-Fi streaming bases. There are, however, lots of other ways to achieve a multi-room audio approach. If you search around on YouTube, you can see people who've done crazy amounts of wiring around their house, you can see people who've got Amazon Echoes all over the place, and a whole ton of other options. I haven't talked about those because they tend to be fiddly or they tend to be really expensive. Likewise, there's also the option of making something yourself using a Raspberry Pi, but again this requires a ton of technical knowledge which most people aren't going to have. So out of the 3 options I've talked about, which is the best? I suspect you probably know the answer to this because I've said it's the system I use, but I think the Pure JONGO is probably the best option. It gives you options to buy speakers or simply adapters. The adapters aren't particularly expensive at the moment, and despite its buggy app, it is still a really functional, good system. And actually, when Pure update the app in the summer, I think it's going to be one of the best systems out there to set up on a budget. I hope you guys have found this video helpful. If you've got a better option or you've come across other things, then do comment with those things. If you've got questions about any of the things I've talked about, also stick them in the comments and I'll reply. And I will see you guys again soon.